Bryant Lavender, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I've been waiting.
Ooh, yes. Have I been on your list?
Yes, you have. I just been waiting, but I've been watching your progress and you're doing fantastic work. I
Oh,
love it.
thank you so much. Yeah, that is so kind coming from you. And so I want the listeners to know we go way back. And I want
We
you
do.
to share with them like how you and I connected.
So while I was at the University of South Alabama, I played football, and we actually went through a string of athletic academic advisors, and she was the last one that came in, but she was phenomenal. She was very proactive. She was very hands-on and actually went through my files and saw that I had everything laid out, mapped out for my freshman year. Shout out to Miss Steele, who was my previous athletic academic advisor, who helped me with that my freshman year. But Sarah came in and it was amazing. It was like a breath of fresh air, because at that point in time in my life with football and academics, everything was like moving parts. We had coaches changes and all that stuff. So to have somebody to come in that was there for us and knew what she was doing and could relate was second to none.
It was such a fun time to be there. I mean, you guys, like, being a new program, y'all had only been around just a couple of years before I came in. And it was so cool to see your progress athletically, but then see everybody's progress academically too.
Right,
And
right.
then we were able to like sit down, make some goals, figure out like what is this whole thing life after sport? Because
Yeah.
newsflash,
Because it
a
was
lot of
coming. It was coming.
newsflash, it's coming. And sometimes it comes right when you graduate. Sometimes it comes a few years later. You just don't ever know.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
So I want us to
Yeah.
back up. So before you even got to South Alabama, I want you to share a little bit about what was your recruiting journey like?
My recruiting journey was, I say interesting, but it was for me, it was very hectic because, as a young athlete, I had big dreams, big goals. I want every college in the country to, you know, recruit me. And I wanted to, have 1,000 yards as a receiver, 15 touchdowns. I wanted to break school records and all those things. And none of those things happened. Unfortunately, I had three schools uh, recruit me, which I say unfortunately because of my dreams, I figured I would have more. But I had
Yeah.
three schools that were recruiting me, and there was actually a fourth one that was possibly recruiting me. But then when the coach got fired, then all that the recruiting stuff goes down. So in my recruiting process, it was really hard. I went to two camps, two individual camps. I think that kind of gave me uh, uh, a step in the right direction of getting noticed. My most memorable one was when I went to the Scout Under Armour Combine camp and was rated the best receiver in attendance. That helped a lot. And then the other camp was actually the South Alabama camp where I actually got offered my scholarship at the 50-yard line before I left the camp. The other schools that were recruiting me were Mississippi Gulf Coast, which is also called Perk, and East Mississippi, up in Scuba, Mississippi. So
Yeah.
and that was because my head coach, uh, Marcus Wood, left from Gulfport High and to get I think a AD job, athletic director, and also office coordinator job at EMCC.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you think about back to your recruiting process, like obviously it wasn't your hopes and dreams. Like it wasn't what you expected because you had this big dream of all these schools coming after you. And
Right.
so now you're in here, but what are some of the questions you wish you would have asked during the recruiting process?
Well, actually, I was fortunate enough to have my coach Howard McNeil give me everything that I needed. I didn't even ask questions. He gave me just information, and it was almost like information overload. At the same
Yeah.
time, he
Yeah.
did it in pieces. So like if I had a question about, okay, what is a red shirt? Hey, he says, hey, a red shirt is you have 5 years to play four. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I said, what's a medical red shirt? And then it's like, well, you get injured if you play less than 20%, then you still could, you would be deemed, as a medical registrator and can have the whole next year. And I was like, oh, okay. It was like things like that. But then it also was those, when you get there, make sure your time management is where it needs to be, that you don't play around with the studies, that you're there to get an education, education first, football second. Although your athletic ability got you an opportunity to play, to go to this school, you're ultimately there to get an education. So you need to find and major in something that you like. Don't take interdisciplinary studies. Find something that you like, and that was from my personal experience. He was like, no, find something that you like. That way you can go into it and be confident in what you're going to do. My next question was like, well, coach, what happens if, what I'm saying, I don't perform? He was like, they can cut you. And I was like, what? He said, yes, like you have, assumption is that it's 4 years. A scholarship is signed. When you sign, it's 4 years. No, it's 4 1-year contracts. So if you don't perform in that 1 year, whether it's your freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, they could cut you. And it was like, if they can cut you from the football team, your scholarship says that it'll till you finish out the school year, that semester, and then after that you got to pay, for school if you want to stay. So like he really gave me everything I already need. So like going into South, I already knew what I had to do. I already knew my goals. I already knew what I needed to do. So I was actually above. I had an advantage because I had a coach that was honest with me and loved me enough to tell me the truth of what was going on versus, selling me a dream. He didn't sell me dreams. He sold me the truth, and I bought it.
Oh, and that's so big. I think we talk a lot on the show about, like, we do have these big dreams and we want to go and pursue all these things, but there are times that it doesn't work out in our favor. Like,
right.
These setbacks happen. So what advice would you give to high school kids now who are probably in this whole scenario of like trying to figure out what's going to be best for them? Are they getting offers and maybe they don't get them? What do you suggest they do in those moments? Because I mean, think about it, Lab. Like, they could have their teammates get the best offer, and here they are just sitting in the locker room going, "Gosh, why didn't I get those offers?"
Well, I like this aspect. There's actually two thoughts that come to mind. The first thought is, it's not over till it's over.
Oh, yeah.
It's not over till it's over. Just because your teammate is getting all the offers, let's say that happens, your teammate is getting all the early offers. That's cool. You do just realize that he can have all those offers, but at the end by the time he gets signed, he may not have any of those offers, because once coaches get the players that they want, because they have a ranking system, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So they offer scholarships in that order. If you're a receiver and they need 2 receivers, and you're the 4th one on the board, and the first 2 or the second and the third accept the offer before you do, the scholarship is removed from you. Like, they're not, you can't use it. So second thing to that first point is, control what you can control.
Ooh, that's good. Yeah.
Control what you can control. When you get the opportunity to excel and ball out, do those things. Mm-hmm. No excuses. No, I wish I could have. He didn't know. If you if you're in a position to make plays, make those plays that you can make. Yeah. Leave it all out there on the field. And my second thought is, sometimes the athletic part is fine. You ball out, everything is great, but you're still wondering why I don't have any offers. Well, I wanted this concept that Coach Antoine gave me when I was in school, in college, actually. He said, I want to ask this question: did you kick over the bucket? And, if you're asking me, what did you kick over? What's the bucket? The bucket is every good thing that you've done to gain weight and getting recruited. Well, if you explode out on the field, if you break out into a fight on the field, if you go off on the coach, or if you have a misconduct outside of school or in school, or anything that's outside that could bring a negative image to not only you but the school that is trying to recruit you, just kicked over the bucket, and they don't think that you're good fit for the program. Not because you won't add to the program athletically, but because you won't be mature enough to handle yourself as a young man or a young lady pursuing higher education. And that's the major issue. A lot of times it's not even the athletic ability, it's the attitude problem.
Oh, I think Coach Rick in an earlier episode here talked about saying that there's two things that I can control: my attitude and my effort. And,
right.
I like that sticks with me so well because I'm like, yes, like those are the two things that you can control. And you and I both know, because we've seen this happen with former players, we've seen this happen in other teams. But if the coach is out there recruiting two people, they play the same position, they're probably around same height, weight, their skill level is very, on point and on par with
right.
one another. But one of them's character is a little higher. The other one maybe had some missteps or some things that happen. Coach is going to go with the kid whose character shines.
That's right. That's right. And that's that's unfortunate because lucky for me, like I didn't know those things until I got to high school. Like when I got to high school, I had fantastic coaches that say, hey, this and that. Cause I actually was an attitude problem child growing up. Like I had that attitude, like I snapped, and I would, but when my father passed away, sometimes it takes a traumatic experience to reevaluate your attitude and your character and the way that you're acting. Was it Dr. Erdman told me, he said it's not who you know, is who knows you and what they think about you. And so whatever a coach, a teacher, a recruiter thinks about you, that's what they're going to go on the potential of you maximizing and making their thoughts or assumptions about you honest and true. So, athletics is a dangerous game because you're constantly up and down. Your fate is so much of your fate is held into what another person believes that you can or cannot do, or will or will not do. And the way I found to stay consistent in those things is control what I can control, and show up on time.
Can we talk about that for just a second? Because I feel like that right there is so valuable for students to think about. It is, I once had a teacher, or a coach that said, if you're early, you're on time.
Mm.
If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, don't bother coming.
And so this is my, as I've gotten older, this is the concept that I've gained to grasp from that. It is, if I'm early, then that means I am showing you that what I'm doing is a priority. Yes. If I show up on time, then that's telling you like, hey, I could have been doing something else better with my time, so I just came at the last minute. And that was something that when it came to football, I played no games about it because I was that important. It was that important to me. So any place that I needed to be, I love to be, 5 to 10 minutes early, just because, I wanted to sit where I wanted to sit. I didn't sit in the back. I wanted to sit in the middle to the front. It's just certain things like that, like because it was important to me. Of course, every meeting that you have in football is not going to be interesting. A lot of them going to be longer than what they need to be. However, because it falls under the umbrella term of football, it was important, and I treated it as such. A lot of opportunities that I got from football was not because of my athletic ability, but it was the ability to be on time, to have my character exemplified, and I showed consistency in the ability that I had.
Yeah, so talk about that a little bit, because when you got to South, like you're like, I'm gonna be the starter all however many years you were there. Like I am going to, again, you're in your brain, you're thinking, I'm gonna have these 1,000-yard seasons, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Did it go that way?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. The only thing that I did reach was I was 1 year the leading receiver in receptions. I did lead the receiving corps in receptions, and but you have to set your goals high, because if you don't have a high standard, then what do you think about yourself?
Yeah.
How confident are you in your ability? But I see, another thing is I didn't even start my freshman year.
Right.
I was actually, to be honest with you all, um, they actually wanted to gray shirt me when it first came out, because that was the year that gray shirt first came out. Gray shirt, it came out that year, and they wanted to gray shirt me. And I quote from Coach Craig. He said, "Yeah, we want to gray shirt you. We think the other receivers are a lot ahead of you. That you're kind of behind, polish wise, as a receiver." And I was like, I said, "No, I can't do that. Is there is there a way that I could change that?" And so I actually put myself in the fire and put my confidence and my ability on the line. And I said, "Coach, what can I do to show you that I need my scholarship regular, like a regular scholarship, like to pull it up for the fall?" And he said, "Well, you come in the summer and show the coaches what you got." And he said, and I was like, "Okay, I'm coming." I knew, but there was no, in my mind, there was no, "Oh, I'm gonna fail, they're gonna send me back home." Although I knew that there was a possibility that they would cut me before they even started. After I had already committed to what I said, I was like, "Oh man, I could get cut and not even get the opportunity." I said, but that gave me an intrinsic and extrinsic motivation to put myself in a position to be successful and go hard every day, because
Yeah.
I could have got that call any point and said, "Yeah, we don't think you cut it."
Yeah.
So
Well, so, and because I'm kind of remembering back and going, gosh, that was a really hard time for you, like coming in summer, having to train, do all these things. Like, how much did your teammates play a role in like your success when you were kind of going through all of this?
uh Corey and Ellis, Ellis Hill, Corey Walden, at my freshman year, Jeremy Jones, um, Ken Bearfield, and Eli Smith. Those five, and Logan Bennett, like those guys, like really pushed me, even though we all didn't play the same position.
Yeah.
There was just it was just those guys just was like, "All right, lad, come on," because like those are the only ones that I can remember off the top of my head that I was like, "Hey, y'all, like I may not be here in the fall, and this is why," because they were everybody was making like roommate plans and all this stuff, and I couldn't, what I'm saying, I couldn't. They was like, "Why, lad? What you talking about?" I was like, "Man, I don't know who I'm a room with." They was like, "What you mean?" And so they kept asking that question, and so when I shared it with them, that was when they was like, "Oh wow," you know what I'm saying? And so that, because a lot of them were like, "Dang, lad, you always going hard. Why you always doing it?" But they didn't know that
You had
they
something
had
to
I had
prove.
I had something to prove. So they were like, "Oh, we good, we straight." But on my end, I had to prove that I was good. I had to prove that I
Right.
was straight. So there was an outside force that was making me go that hard. So, and in turn, it made some of my teammates got mad at me. Not them, not that particular core, but some of them got mad at me because they was like, "Man, you going too hard, man. You trying to make us look bad." It wasn't that I was trying to make them look bad. I was just trying to make myself look not good, but just look like I belong,
Yeah.
to sustain my,
Well,
my
and
position.
I think it goes back to what you were saying about, what people think about you based off what they know about you. And, in that moment, you were trying to really take advantage to saying, okay, here's what they think. I want to show them
Yeah,
what they know. And then once they change the knowledge of me, it's going to change what they think about me.
exactly. Exactly.
Right. And so that's when you put it all in. And I even think too, like, I mean, you weren't just putting it all in on the field. There were so many different components where you were like, I've got to prove myself. I've got to show them that I have every aspect of what it takes to be here.
Right, right. It was so much went into what I was doing. I had my mom, was excited, you know, for me to go to college. My little brother was watching me. I made a promise to my dad in his casket, that I wanted to make it to the league. So in order to make it to the league, I had to get a scholarship to play football because my mama couldn't, so it was so many other things, and then I had myself motivation, like, bro, you got to be good, man. You got to be the best. You got to do this, and it was just so many things that I held at a high regard that I needed to make these people proud. Like Coach McNeil, he stuck his neck out, he stuck his head on the limb for me.
Yeah.
When he said, I got the right guy when Les Kenny was, supposed to recruit me and stuff like that and check him out. And, it was just one of those things. It was like, man, if I mess up, it's one thing could take you out the game. Not just one thing, it can remove you out of the game. And that's just one thing, could take you out of everything in life. Like one false move, can have major consequences to where you are no longer in the position to live your dreams. And I was so cautious, and I just didn't want it to happen. I remember when I was going to the summer, I graduated high school May 20th, 2009. And we had to be at South on the 26th. After graduation, everybody had a party at one of my friends' house. And I went for a little bit, and the police came, and I was like, "Yep, I'm out. I got to go. I'm out." You know what I'm saying? So, and I just like, there were so many opportunities for me to fumble, for me to drop the ball, that I didn't want. If the ball was going to be dropped or fumbled, I didn't want it to be me. Like, I didn't want it to be on my side. Like, I wanted to be on somebody else's side. So I just protected myself the best way I knew how.
Yeah. Well, and I think it goes back to what you were saying earlier, is like, you had to control what you could control, and you could control yourself.
Yeah. Right? Yeah.
Gosh. Yeah. And I mean, just so everybody knows, like, in the end, you did some pretty cool things when you were there. And it was like a great experience. But I mean, it was like, sometimes, getting there is the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the journey. Like I said, it was, I wouldn't change my school or where I went to, anything. Like, it was fantastic. I got to be able to meet some of my best friends of my life. Got to stay connected with some awesome people, some coaches, some academic advisors, people that love me. And, I got to be on a bus and, on the stadium. And, I just got to do some things that people don't generally get to do. I got the opportunity to actually go on, leave South, and actually go play professional ball. And that was fun. So it was just one of those things, like, man. So when people say, who is Bryant Lavender? Who is that guy? Who was he? There's a positive stigma attached to my name, because I actually did put in the work, and I actually did do everything that I was supposed to do. Was I perfect? No. Did I mess up? Yes. Did I kick the bucket over? I did. But I took the bucket, put it back in position, and I refilled the bucket with things I needed to fill it with.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Such a great story. Lav, so the podcast is called Confessions from the Sidelines.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is your favorite memory of standing on the sidelines?
My favorite memory of standing on the sidelines is my freshman year, when I was sitting in Lab People Stadium. Now we got the Hancock Whitney Stadium, but we was in Lab People Stadium, and Courtney Smith caught the school's first touchdown. It was a 60-yard screenplay. It was just the ignition of the program, how the crowd just erupted, and I said to myself, welcome to college football. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. Like, because that was the only time, that was like my favorite one. Every other time, that was, the rest of the years I actually got in the game, so I wasn't on the sideline that much. So, but that had to be the best moment, because it was like, everybody thought we were gonna lose. The team that we played, they had 4- and 5-star recruits. It was hard-grade military. They were supposed to be just gigantic, and they thought they were going to destroy us. Newspapers was chopping us down. So when we scored first, man, that was amazing.
That's so cool. So, Lav, you've done some really cool things since your football days are over. Where can people find you online? Or you're also a published author, so where maybe can they purchase some of your books too?
Okay, so online you can find me on Instagram, Bryant Lavender _. You can find me on Twitter, same, Bryant Lavender _. You can find me on TikTok, It's the same, Bryant Lavender
Yeah.
underscore. And online, if you want my books, you can go to Amazon, but you also can go to my website at bryantlavender.com. And all my books are there. The last three are available as Audible books. So if you have Audible and like to listen, then you can check those out. Just be on the lookout. There's more things coming. A constant growing, constant reevaluating, trying to be better as an individual.
Well, we'll be sure to include all those links in the show notes so people can go and hang out with you. Bryant, thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate you.